have a good mind to go home.
You had a good mind, you wouldn't be here in the first place.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, and all fans above, racing from boats to cars to motorcycles, it's that time of day. It's that time of week. The weekend is done and a lot of information has come in. Get ready. Hold on to your seatbelts. Buckle yourself in, but get that popcorn first. Get your drinks, because soon Mr. Ray Rodda himself will bring you the update and a great show for this evening. So buckle in, folks. We're getting ready for a wild ride. Yes, folks, indeed. We're only within 2 minutes, so that popcorn better be popping and your seat better be taken. Make sure the kids didn't take it and they didn't change your channel, because it's going to be time that Ray will be bringing you all the updates. Hang in, folks. We are 2 minutes away. Ladies and gentlemen, he has all the news. He's gathered all the updates. He watched all the races that he'll tell you about. Amazing enough, he probably has a trip and a trick. I can't say it today, folks, but he probably has a trick up his sleeve today. Be careful. You don't know what rascally things have happened out there. In a few more minutes, you'll have Mr. Ray Rodda, Holy Buckets himself, on the line. Ladies and gentlemen, fan of all ages, here he is himself, the man of the hour, Mr. Ray Rodda. Take it away, Ray.
Well, thank you, Kevin. Fans, welcome to the PowerMist Power Hour as we kick off tonight's show with some great guests later on. from the Depew Men's Club as we get ready for the Pro Nationals at Lake Depew beginning on Wednesday next week. Of course, our sponsor, PowerMist, a great sponsor. We thank Steve and Rick Fales for their support as they represent the oldest family-owned fuel and additive supplier in the country. They're a full-service fuel and additive supplier with distribution around the country, along with standard product offerings. But if you're looking for something on your own recipe type, they can handle that as well. From the smell of methanol, which we'll enjoy next week at Depew with the Pro Nationals, to high-octane gas and additives that will help you get out front and stay out front as we see Rick and Steve for your needs at PowerMist.com. And Steve Fales, of course, will be in Depew this coming week as he'll be in the Pro Nationals running the 500 and 700 runabouts. So we look forward to seeing Steve and Rick at Depew. Well, update on motorsports was kind of a crazy week as the boys at NASCAR continue to struggle as delays into the evenings in some races, or into the case of this weekend, the race had to be held over on Monday. But that delay certainly didn't hurt Martin Truex Jr. as he scored a perfect 60 points, having won the race and all of the portions of the race as they went along. So he took home 254 of the 301 laps that they ran at New Hampshire. Now that was just an unbelievable run for him. And he talked a little bit, he kind of gave a hint that this may be his last year, as he said he'd like to win the championship and walk off into the sunset. But we'll see what happens as we get toward the end of the year. The loser this week in NASCAR was Daniel Suarez, who had a miserable day and fell out of the top 16, which would vie for the championship later on this summer, with Bubba Wallace taking over that 16th spot. The good news for Suarez is he's only 1 point out of the top 16. And with Pocono coming up this weekend, and then 2 road courses at Watkins Glen and at Indianapolis Road Course, along with the Daytona race, it's going to offer kind of a roll of the dice for winners that might be able to take a win and get into and secure a spot in that championship as we get ready to go. We've only got 6 more races to go before we start the run for the championship. Well, what a crazy week for Tony Stewart. My goodness. It ended up Sunday at Bandamere, where his wife Leah Pruitt runs the Top Fuel car, and with Matt Hagan in the funny car. We'll talk about that here in a moment. But his week actually started at his track over in Rossburg, Ohio, not too far from Kevin, at Eldora Raceway. What a great facility over there. As this week, the sprint cars were running for $1,002,023, and that went to the winner, Logan Shoecraft out of Pennsylvania, on Thursday night as he took home the win from the pole position and never lost the lead, as Logan Shoecraft takes home $1 million out of Tony Stewart's pocket. Carson Macedo, who I've talked about in the last couple of weeks with that horrendous accident at Knoxville, and it's up on YouTube. If you haven't seen it yet, you should go take a look. And I'm grateful for a number of the other drivers, Gio Selvey and Brad Sweet, who both got out of their cars trying to pull Carson out of the car while it was on fire. And Carson said that he'd been having a little trouble for a couple of weeks after the accident, kind of figuring out if things were good and things were the way they needed to be. But he ended up picking up $100,000 on Thursday night for having finished second. And then he picked up another $20,000 the next night as they started the King Royal on Friday night and finished it up on Saturday night. And this is kind of crazy, as Donnie Schatz took home the win on the King Royal out of Fargo, North Dakota. He took the top prize of $175,000. So he took his boss's money as Schatz drives for Tony Stewart Racing. Well, I'm tired already about thinking about what Tony's schedule was but he was in Colorado to watch Leah and Matt Hagan as Hagan took the funny car win and increased his lead over the field for the championship. And a wonderful win for Clay Milligan. If you've not seen Clay in an interview or watched him, he is just a fascinating guy. At Indianapolis a few years ago, I watched him never turned a kid away from a photograph or for a autograph. As Rick Ware Racing, who runs both NASCAR, IndyCar, and now has turned into an owner in the NHRA, Rick Ware Racing, he won the second race of his year at Bandimere. And what a crazy time as that is Bandimere, the last race of the Bandimere history was run this weekend as they are going to redevelop that property. And what a shame to see that one go away. A lot of tears shed over the weekend and sellout crowds both Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. In the Pro Stock category, that was taken by Troy Coughlin, also out of Ohio, in the JEG-sponsored automobile. And Gage Herrera took home the motorcycle win. So I think it's probably time that Tony can now go to bed. But what a week for Tony Stewart with the King Royal over the weekend, the $1 million run on both Wednesday and Thursday night last week, and finishes off the weekend in Colorado. So with that, we're going to welcome in our guests tonight. And this guest, we've got two of them, as we've got both the president, Trent Solario of the Depew Men's Club, and Alan Bosnick, who is the vice president of the club. Guys, welcome to the show tonight.
Good evening.
Thanks, Ray.
Well, we're certainly glad to have you, and thank you. I'm sure you guys are probably pretty busy and got a list as long as your arm of things that you still have to do for the weekend, as we've got it Depew coming up here in a little bit. But let's visit a little bit about the men's club first, and then we'll work our way into what's going on next weekend. Tell us about your membership. How many members do you have? What's the club standing for? What are your goals? That type of thing, guys.
Yeah, so the DP Men's Club, we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. So members, I wouldn't know what the exact number would be, but probably somewhere between 30 and 50 members. But in my eyes, I feel like the club's goals and what we're here for is community. And that's not just our DPU community. It is the surrounding communities in the Illinois Valley area. So whatever funds that we're able to go ahead and raise during the one big fundraiser that we have, which are the boat races and the nationals, is what we're able to go ahead and provide to our community for help, and along with the surrounding communities when they need it.
When we talk about doing some charity work and being able to help not only in Depew but across the Illinois Valley, how do you choose what areas you're going to work with and to help? How is that done?
Yeah, so that's typically something that is a request that comes from that town or organization. They will typically go ahead and send in a letter requesting some type of help. And then depending on what that is, we will go ahead and if it's something where the directors can go ahead and discuss and make that decision, then we will do that. Otherwise, we will go ahead and table that until we're able to have a general membership meeting and bring it to everybody to discuss and make that decision. It's not
so. Yeah, so you're not making it as autocratically. You're bringing it into the club so that everybody gets a chance to hear what the requests are and to visit about that.
Yes. Yep. We're not not one person is ever making that decision. that wouldn't be good.
Yeah,
So
I agree there.
that's one thing that the club is really, really good at in the past and going forward. We're trying to be as transparent and bringing attention to what those requests are as soon as we get them. So that's something that will never ever happen as one person making that decision.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about some of the projects that you've done. I think our fans would be interested to hear what you've been able to help people with. Alan,
Yeah,
how
so
about you
there's
start with
been
that one?
Right? If you were to go around the village and see any park equipment, we've either sponsored that park equipment or we went in with the village, and got the new swing sets. We've helped the library here in town. They had a big issue with a furnace problem here. We help the churches as much as we can. And as Trent said, anybody that makes a reasonable request, we're more than willing to help them. And we don't leave out the opportunity for them to help us as far as volunteering during these races because, Trent says 30 to 50 members, but we have 70 to 80 people. And there's a lot of women and older citizens that, give 3-4 hours. And that's incredible what they do, whether it's 3 hours or 5 hours, whatever, that just, spreads out the work. We are so fortunate and that's what happened a couple of years ago when we decided to quit the food stand, that, there's nobody ever wanted to work, and come in there and volunteer. And then the one year that we didn't have it, they seen, what a loss it was. And last year, these young kids in here in office and this technology of Facebook and Twitter and all this, it was just incredible. I will say this year it's not as strong as it was last year. I think they got spoiled a little bit, but it's still, these kids are our future. Us old guys here, just here to help them along. And I couldn't be prouder of all these kids that have stepped up and took on roles here at the men's club. So we've done, used to do, I think it was human. We went out to paint a house one weekend as the men's club, and I can't think of what it was called, but we had like 10 or 12 guys show up and we painted a house. And then that's when we were young. And now for projects like that, we more or less make a motion to donate some money rather than physically going out there and do it. But we'll help physically if we can, but majority of us now it's probably 50-50 with the younger guys and the older. So.
Well, speaking of the food stand this year, do we need still volunteers? How is anybody going to reach out to you to be able to help?
Yeah, my son has a website up for volunteers, and we're a little weak because everybody wants to watch the races, which I don't blame them. But we could use some help on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We're pretty good. We may start Tuesday, and then Wednesday. I know we'll cover this in the entertainment, but we do have Al Pearson coming back, so we're looking forward to a lot of seniors coming down and enjoying that music to kick off the weekend. And then we're going to have the full menu. We'll have everything that we've had before, and we'll have Donnie Joe slinging the burgers back there. And Donnie Joe's a new father, so he's going to be a little limited as far as his cooks, but I told him he could stay home and watch the baby, and we'll take Sarah. His wife is a heck of a help for us.
Donnie Joe just sent me a picture. He texted me a picture of Caleb, and he says he's ready to do the double cheeseburgers for us. So that'll be a good thing. We're glad you're on board, Donnie Joe. Well, again, so just so that we can help a little bit, if you're interested in volunteering, go to the website. Alan, do you have the website in hand by chance?
No, but I can possibly get it, or I think Grant may have it. Does he have it on his Facebook page, Trent? I don't do Facebook, so I don't. about that.
Yeah. Grant Bosnick has shared it on his personal Facebook. I think he shared it within the Deep Illinois History Facebook page. We also shared it within the DPU Boat Races page. So it's on there. There's a link within there.
It's on mine
really
as well. So if we've got anybody, and you don't have to be a Depew resident to come help at the food stand. The men's club helps throughout the Illinois Valley. So if you'd like to volunteer, I'm sure we can find some time that you could help if you'd like to do that. Well, Trent, let me ask you a couple of questions. You're following in your dad Slick's footsteps as the president of the organization, and Slick just was tireless in his work in putting together a great team. How are you settling into the presidency?
It's interesting. Let me tell you that there's a lot of things that Slick, I think, had to go through that I never saw because obviously I'm not living at home or anything like that, so I wouldn't see these interactions that he would have. It almost hasn't hit me yet that I've taken the reins now and the president of the DP Men's Club, but it's settling in little by little. It's just a big learning experience, and they're just coming in April was kind of tough just because we're coming in April and now here come the races three months later, and you have calls coming from this side and calls coming from this side and trying to figure out programs and things like that. So it's been tough and big shoes to fill. It's big shoes to fill, but I feel like I shadowed him for a lot of his time in presidency. And when we were coming up to April and talking about me becoming the new president, and I think it's kind of been, I would say, the running joke for a long while about me being the successor to the presidency, because if anybody really wanted it, they could run for it and take it. I would still run for it because I wanted it. But when I kind of knew that I would get it, I talked with Alan before that, and I said, hey, I want you, if I do get presidency, I want to nominate you to come in and be my VP. One of the reasons why I wanted that is because he's been around. He knows what we need to look out for, and he's we're very close, and he's a very good sounding board for me to just call and just say, hey, what do you think about this? Let's talk this out. It's kind of weird because when Slick was in presidency, Eric Bryant was the VP. So Eric Bryant coached my dad. So Alan was my former coach. So now we're kind of in the same role. So it's kind of weird.
Kevin is doing our across the top of the screen. I don't know if you can see it, but he posted up the Depew Facebook so that we can get the volunteers if somebody is able to see that and be able to come on board with us. You talk about your dad and some of the things that he did. What changes do you think have you identified any of the changes that you'd like to make in the club versus what it had done in the past, Trent?
No, I don't think there's really any changes right now. Like I said, so this just happened in April, so I'm still in my infancy here and still trying to navigate these waters. But one of the things, like Coach Al mentioned earlier, is that with the technology that we have now, it's easier for us to go ahead and do these Skype calls and things like that. So one of the first things that I did when I knew that we needed to have a meeting and just, hey, everybody's pretty much new in these roles. Let's all just get together and sit down and have a discussion and just kind of talk about where we're at, things like that. And I think that's one thing that I want to do more is have more of the online meetings and making sure that everybody's still on the same page and that we know where we're at. Trey Solorio, he moved into the treasurer role that John Widmer had for the longest time.
Right.
So he's been doing a great job with taking all of those notes and records that John had written down in pencil and paper, and moving those over to the digital age, and really being able to say, hey, when we have a question, hey Trey, can you get me this real quick? Oh yeah, let me go and check it real quick, and boom, he has it right away. So little things like that, and being able to bring us into that digital age, I think is going to be a big help for the club.
Yeah. We used to kid Johnny. He had a hold of that dollar so tight he had his thumbprint all the way through it. But that was a good thing, though. Oh, that's good stuff. You know, it's interesting that you kind of made a transition when I asked what changes are you made, but you then said not many, but then you went into the technology change. That's a big thing. You know, information is absolutely golden, and to be able to do what you're doing now, and having the ability to get that information out quickly to all of the group is just paramount to being able to be successful.
Yeah, and along with that, one of the things that we said earlier is that really the boat races are really our only fundraising opportunity right now. So what I kind of want to challenge myself and along with the club members is, what can we do outside of that, if we can do anything in person or maybe even using on the digital side somehow. What can we do to fundraise a little bit more throughout the year than just this one time? So I think that's something that I'm always thinking about. I think that's something that some of the younger guys are thinking about. And I'm sure like Coach Al has thought about it, and it's just trying to think outside the box on what we can do.
You know, and that's really important, especially with, you know, the environment, things that we're running into with the lake and all the rest that goes with it, that you really need to find that kind of that revenue stream that will help you to continue on to do what you're doing. And it's, you know, I'm sure there are a lot of lists of people that you would like to help, but again, the revenue stream has to be there to be able to do so. What, you know, and I hadn't thought about this until just now. What project have you guys done that you can see a return coming back to, not to the men's club, but to the community that you helped and you fostered with it?
I would think probably
Coach,
helping the library as much as we had the Selby Township there. It used to be the old rail depot. You know, we do a lot for them. That new shelter, which we called the was a asset. A lot of that was donated to by the Beasley family. So, you know, that was putting things back into the park that the village can afford, or, you know, it's not a necessity. You know, we have an infrastructure here in town, you know, sewers and everything that need work, and they just don't have money. I don't want to say for the luxury things, but that's kind of like what we're doing for the school. I know we just give the school a bunch of money, and we didn't designate it. I don't know if they used it for lockers or whatever they used it for, but we're here for the community first, and then we will go outside the community. An example, years ago, we made a huge profit, and we went to all the surrounding communities, Spring Valley, Princeton, and we donated towards their park district. Because a lot of our advertising, if you look in the program, is Spring Valley, Princeton, Peru, you know, and they're not reaping anything from that. That's a pure donation. Anybody that said go into the igloo in Peru and said, "Hey, I seen your ad in the men's club program," it's a lie. but it's just a donation, and it was our way of trying to give something back to the other communities, because without the surrounding communities, this race success wouldn't happen. And right now we're battling. We've lost 2 hospitals in the last 6 months in the Illinois Valley. So there's a lot of people that are unemployed, and we hope that they can still come down and visit with us. So we're aware of what's going on, and we're going to try everything we can to help people out, and within reason. So we try to spend our money wisely. Sometimes we do throw it away frivolously, but we're making steps to prevent that. So, but these young kids are going to do a great job. I really truly believe it. And like Trent said, every one of the new board members, Trent and Trey, all played for me in grade school. And they know I don't pull any punches, and I'll tell them exactly what I think. And, I think they kind of respect that. And they probably called me a name or two in their time, but that's okay. I got broad shoulders.
Trent, you had a thought as well about maybe a project that you felt like you're getting a return as well.
Yeah, the library, yeah, that's one of the big ones. The church that we just donated to, and we have the Catholic Church and the Congregational Church here in Depew. But the Congregational Church that we donated and helped them with, was that a air conditioned system?
Air conditioner,
I think that we helped them with. And Pastor Karen, she comes down and she does the prayer at the beginning of the races every year. She goes ahead and tells us whatever we need from her. Go ahead and let her know. She'll come in down to volunteer, along with many of the members that are part of that congregational church that help us. So that's probably the biggest one that I can see.
And it's interesting, if you've ever lived in Depew or you're part of Depew, Depew's always in your heart. And I can tell you that personally. But I sometimes think when we gave scholarships out to students, that was one of the things I think that, if we could find ways to hang on to the young people, that they go off to school, and certainly we want them to explore where they need to be, but don't ever lose that piece of Depew that's a part of you, and to be able to come back and help and do the things that you'd want to do. One of the things that I've thought about while we were talking here is, who knows what you're doing besides the 3 of us and Kevin? How do you get that out to the and what's in my head right now is your revenue stream. If we can get it out to Princeton and Mendota, Oglesby and LaSalle and Peru and Ottawa about what the Depew Men's Club is about and what you're doing charitably, can we get that information and then begin to find ways that we can say, hey, if we're doing this and you're happy with what we're doing, help us. And to be able to grow outside of the city and to be able to look for revenue streams that way.
Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, not a whole lot of people would know on the things the things that we go ahead and we donate to or help other surrounding communities do, besides the Depew Men's Club and whatever organization it is that we're helping with. Yeah, they may have a thank you out there or something like that, but we don't try to flaunt or anything that say, hey, Depew Men's Club did this and we did that and helped out here and things like that. So I get what you're saying in order to go ahead and try to get more of that. But
I think all four of us have done something for somebody that nobody else ever knew except the two that that you and whoever you were helping did. But
Right.
when I look at what the Depew Men's Club is doing, I think to myself, if we could get more people to know what you're doing and then bring in more people to help and financially find ways that we can build the revenue stream that we can even help more people. And so at some point in the next couple of weeks, let's you and I visit, the three of us, and maybe come up with some ideas if you want to explore that a little bit. Because I think
Ray,
there's say again.
I think a good revenue stream for us is for the people just to come and patronize our race. I mean, we make money off of this race now. I think, I don't know how long it is. Can you imagine 10 years ago that we didn't even have an admission? And now we're starting, or we've been charging an admission or donation where, people are paying to come in. Where in the world can you $5 bring your cool food? You don't spend a dime in our. You can come in, enjoy the race, you can patronize the people on the street, you can patronize our food stand, but you don't have to. We know that money is limited, so come,
Yeah.
we have donation jars all over the place. They can donate that way, or I've been a director for I think 38 years now, and I think Johnny and I talked about this before. We're probably over $400,000 in all these years giving money
That's
away.
Fantastic.
So
Slick just sent me a note, by the way.
What's that?
He says, don't forget the Frank Solario Memorial. Got to get your straw hat and ready to go. But that's always a great tournament as well to help. And I got to tell you, I miss that smile. Oh, man.
We all
had a great
miss
smile.
that smile. Yeah.
And really,
And
yeah.
I know he would be proud of. Yeah, he would be very pleased in what they're doing. His nephews and just to see him in the park with that hat on and that smile, that's something you'll never forget. We've got a lot of members that we've, Dolan Kimball, who's passed, and my cousin Don, and there's, you can't name them all, but so many people have come and gone, and we don't forget. We make sure we talk about them.
If you ever met Frank, you'd never forget it.
No,
he was that type of a guy. Just his smile lit up the world. Let me tell you. Well, let's talk a little bit, guys, about the village and the cooperation that you received from the village and the citizens of Depew to really be able to put this thing together. How does that? Tell us a little bit about what that's about.
Yeah, so Mayor Danny Huffert and the village trustees have been great throughout all the years of us hosting these races. The citizens of Depew and the surrounding area obviously are just they're nuts. I mean, they come down, and if you got wind down there, these fans are going to stick around, and they're going to stick around until that wind dies down in order to have some racing. I don't know any other place where you have people come down 3-4 weeks ahead of the races and try to claim their spot down there and where they want to sit to watch these things. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah, so
I'm going to have to do that this year.
No, I don't think there's a green spot left in the park. It's just incredible how, and people think that their space gets larger, and then there's been Facebook confrontations about you're in my space and this, and it's a shame because we want everybody to enjoy the race. So whether you have a spot or not, invite somebody into your spot. Let them get involved. Let them enjoy what you're enjoying, and try to get along, because the village, like I said, Trent said, the village has done a tremendous job. I know we've had help from Superintendent Bruce Uvon with the dam and the machinery down there. So it's all we have. So we know that this is the week of the year that DPU is going to shine. And then Monday morning, the streets are bare, and there's about 15 of us cleaning up that boat race. And that's the day that really stinks.
Yeah.
So,
it's really interesting to me. I know that the police department is cooperating and they're there on site for you. You've got the infrastructure over the years has grown, and yet it's not in turmoil. It's always kind of, okay, this is what has to happen on this day, and you just kind of move forward from those. What's the checklist look like right now? What are you guys kind of going, okay, we got to get, this is the next part of this that we've got to get done?
I think
we got to make sure we have water. Waters are, as far as I'm concerned, we've got everything, I think, in line. We've done this for so long. The thing people have got to realize is we knocked that race out of the water last year. We had a whole week of perfect weather. We made record profits. I think we were almost at 4,000 hamburgers in our food stand. And people got to realize we're not going to do that in a 3-day race. We're not going to make the volume of money that we did last year. And it's about the same amount of work, so,
yeah.
It is what it is. Yeah.
The infrastructure still has to be in place to be able to do it. But so tomorrow you get up, what do you got on your mind to get done?
Tomorrow I get up and I look at the river levels at Henry and at LaSalle, and I look to see what those look like. I typically call Slick or text Slick right away and have him get down to the lake and take a picture of it and send it to me. That way I know what's going on. But I was up there. This weekend, and the lake levels look really, really good right now. The dam's in. We're pumping, so I think we're going to be very, very good. But so that's what I'm going to be doing tomorrow, most likely. And then really nothing really occurs until Saturday. Saturday is our setup day. So we'll get up there early in the morning and start knocking things out and getting things set up.
Do we have a list that we can put up on Facebook for volunteers to come on Saturday? What time are we going to start? That type of thing?
So we don't really have a list of what we need to get done. We get down there. We know what needs to get done.
Right.
But we will meet. We will meet at 7 a.m. down at the park shelter. We'll get down there. Just all get down there, and then from there we'll just split up and kind of go here and here and here on what we got to get done, and just spread things out. It's kind of like controlled chaos in a way, because we know what's going on. So
I know that feeling.
And the committees that we have on the men's club, they all know what they need to do. They know where the posts have to go for the big beer stand and the small beer stand, and the street guys know, admission guys know where the fencing's got to go for all of that and things. So it's just it's a long day, but it's not a sprint at this point. This is we're going at our own pace. We're getting things done because we still have until Wednesday when testing starts.
Right. But I love hearing the committees know what they need to do, and the delegation is taking place, and that's really, really critical as president and vice president, because you can't do it all, and you've got to have that help, and it's good to hear that.
I don't even think it's delegating. They just know what to do, and they just go and do it.
They'd probably tell you to shove it too if you told them to do something anyway.
Well, speaking of the food stand, are we going to be able to get breakfast at the food stand this year?
We are going to do breakfast again. We're going to have the egg sausage muffins. Trent's wife is gearing all that up. I've got a lot of the stuff ordered. She's collecting from Aldi's the sausage. So, on Saturday morning, that's a big thing. Was all these young guys are hauling these refrigerators down. We got about 6-8 girls down in clear refrigerators. We get them plugged and get them cooled down because Tuesday morning, we have the health department come in and they check us out. And, I imagine, we don't know without the Michigan race, the weekend before, that was big and everybody was always coming on Sunday. We don't know the feel of when people are going to be coming economically, if they're going to come on Tuesday now, if they're going to come on Monday or even come on Wednesday. So more than likely we'll have the food stand open on Monday, but we aren't expecting a large volume of people. So this is kind of new, and I asked my brother and my nephew when they were at Constantine. Normally after the race is on 80 from Constantine to Depew, to get there on Sunday night, right. And that isn't going to happen. So it's a whole different year. We're going from a 6-day race to a 3-day race, and hopefully, weather dictates everything. So we'll see.
Yeah, I know that there's some folks that are going to be there Saturday with their trailers that I've talked to. So I think you'll see some of those. Probably even see some unscheduled testing, maybe on some of the guys, but who knows? What type of it isn't just a boat race. It's a happening, if I could put it that way. A lot of people come. I was talking to Doc Miller, Braxton, and Dr. Rick Miller and Grandpa Miller, and I was talking to him the other day, and he was talking to me about things that he could do for his race down in Oklahoma, and I was telling him about when my mom was alive, she went to the reunion, and it wasn't a reunion of the year; it was a reunion of whoever went to Depew High School. And I said, those are the kinds of things that a community comes together with. And if they could get something like that started, that it doesn't just become a boat race, it becomes, I'm coming to see my friends, I'm coming to see what's going on in the community and be able to talk to people. So when you look at this, okay, here's the boat race over here, but now what other things are you guys planning for entertainment and other things that will keep the people, when the races aren't going on, what are you doing to keep people in the park?
So on Wednesday night, there is Al Pearson with the Guy Lombardo Band. I believe they're playing from 6 to 8, I think it is. So we have them from 6 to 8, and then Jim Nothey comes on after that from 8 to 11. On Thursday night, it'll be Jim Nothey again from 8 to 11. Friday night, it is Rodeo Drive, and they will play. They're out of Princeton, I believe, and they'll play from 8 o'clock until midnight. And then Saturday is Abbey Normal. Once again, Abbey Normal. I know my buddy Rough John loves Abbey Normal. He's always rocking out there when they're playing on Saturday night. So they'll be back.
He's wound up like a $2 clock. Let me tell you. Well, I tell you what. I honestly believe that folks are going to be coming in Saturday and Sunday. And now, when do your other vendors? We're not only going to have the Depew Men's Club food stand, but you've got a list of vendors that'll be coming as well. What kind of food menus do you think we're going to be able to see there?
Yeah, that's a good question. And we actually got an email today.
You got the list there, bud?
Yeah. So we have, it looks like a total of 11 vendors coming down. It looks like we have Nelson's Fair Foods, which I'm assuming is going to be corn dogs and things like that.
Right.
Dido's Pretzels,
Huh?
Tony's Butt Shack, which is like barbecued barbecue food, Farmer's Smoked Barbecue. This is a new one, Golden Rice Thai Food. So we're gonna have Thai food down there this year. One of
That I might
the
have to hit.
Yeah, I mean, why not?
That's good stuff.
Sounds good. One of the favorites that's always down there is Niho's Egg Rolls and More. So he's coming back, and I think he's doing some specials again this year, if I saw correctly. Mickey's Massive Burritos is back. Cow's Coffee is back, which is typically down at the by the big Men's Club food shelter. Out of Chewy's Tacos are back. They're usually down at the ramp area.
Right.
Starved Rock Tropical Snow, which is shaved ice. They're going to be there. And then Grandma Rosie's Ice Cream.
So
So we have-
menu.
Yeah, it sounds like a good assortment of different types of food that are going to be down there. So 11 different vendors. So that's a good selection. And I know for a fact that there were other vendors trying to get in. We just don't have the room, and they just came in a little bit too late, and we couldn't get them in. So
Space wise, sure. I got to find the guy that had the last funnel cake last year, because when I got there, they were all out, and I'm going to have to make sure I get into one right away as we get down there. Alan, you mentioned about some charges for getting in and that type of thing. What can fans expect as they come to the gate?
Well, we're asking for a $5 non-refundable donation. I think kids 10 and under are free. I'm not sure. I think that's 10. We encourage you to bring lawn chairs if you want to sit. If you want to mingle, you're more than welcome to walk. Coolers are not frowned upon. We don't charge anything for coolers. And basically, we don't allow tents in the park. And we want everybody to see, so we don't think it's right that people are popping up tents in the main park. If you want to put up a tent down by the waterworks, we have an area that those are probably already marked off already, and I'm assuming the tents will be going up in the next couple days there as well. And Ray, you and I have always talked about this, and it's always exciting to see the racers along the shoreline and see what they're doing, and see them maneuvering. If somebody's engine won't start, seeing the teammates help each other or helping their neighbor. And, the only thing we have ever asked is to keep that big pier clean so people can see from our food stand. If they're going to come in and spend money, they might want to sit at the table and watch the races. So if we get too much congestion on that, it's just really hard for them to see. And, I think it just discourages them, because believe it or not, 15 years ago, that stand didn't do that, was the beer stand. But it got bigger, and it was inevitable. You can't see the pier once you get those trailers because they're so big. And I think, I don't know if it was Danny Kurtz told me one time, and he's a legend down here, and I think he said one time at 6 o'clock in the morning, I've never seen a trailer race. So, coming from the legend. So, but no, it's that, and we will have a 50-50 drawing every day. And when it gets up to Sunday, it's upwards of over $2,000. We have a $10 raffle that's going on. The tickets, are going like crazy. We also have a $1 raffle, and anybody who wants to give us money, we'll take. So put it that way.
Okay, you just reminded me of something. Caps and T-shirts. How do we get those put together?
So caps and T-shirts,
Go ahead, Trent.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Trent.
So caps and T-shirts, we did have an online order earlier in the year. I think it was in March and April, maybe later than that. But that did shut down. So we will have caps and T-shirts. I think hoodies down for sale down at the races at the Men's Club food stand. They do go fast. So if you're gonna want one, because I don't know if we'll do an after sale like we did last year, but if you do want one, then I suggest that you do get down to the shelter early in the week and grab those.
Well, make sure you sew 4 larges together for me so that I can get one when we get there. Alan, you have my email address. If you've got anything that in terms of the operational side for us as boat racing coming in, drop me a note if you would, and I can make sure we cover some of that at the drivers meeting to make sure that we're doing on our side what we need to be doing there.
I will. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you bet. All right. Well, we're about 10 days out, guys. What's going through your head right now?
Through my head right now, I'm just ready to get up there on Saturday, get things set up. I'm really looking forward to seeing all the racers and guys that I've been able to become friends with over the years, and just see them and hang out with them. So, but really looking forward to just getting it started. And this is an exciting time of year for myself. I love this time of year. So I'm getting really pumped up now.
I think all of us are, to be honest with you. We look forward to this week almost every year, to be able to get together and to be able to do that. You kind of alluded, Alan, a little bit earlier about on Monday, but when that last trailer leaves the shoreline, what's the feelings of the community, of the men's club, that type of thing?
It's the end of summer.
Yeah.
Summer is over. The kids are gearing. These kids are going back to school August 15th anymore. When we're down there at 7 o'clock on Monday morning and looking at each other, tired because we've been in the park, from 6 a.m. till 12 p.m. And that's not that's our own fault. But I look forward so much to spending time with these young men and all my friends in the men's club. And we, I'm not afraid to tell you I love these kids. And in fact, Trent and I and Trey, being the 3 upper in the club, we communicate quite a bit because I do the mail and everything. So I make sure Trey sees everything I get in the mail. And when I sign off to them, they made me finally get a iPhone, so I blow them a kiss with an emoji because I do anything for these kids. So it's just a camaraderie deal. There's a lot of great racers, that like Trent said, we become friends with. And serving on that committee last year with that big race, I met a lot of great people, and it's a great event. But it's sad. It's sad on Monday morning, that we're gonna go. Hopefully, our goal is to have the park cleaned up by 1 or 2 o'clock so we can go home and pass out before we go back to work on Tuesday. Because we're not as young as we used to be.
It's kind of interesting. After that week is over, as I'm driving home back to Indiana, I can still hear the motors running, even though you're nowhere near a boat, nowhere near the water, but you can still hear them, and you miss it already.
There is nothing better than that sound or that smell. If we'd had more time this year, I wanted us to try and do a radio commercial with the noise on there, because anybody that knows boat racing, boy, when they hear that noise and then you get a puff of that smoke to come up into the food stand or something, it's a sickness. It definitely is.
Yeah, well, I want you to know something. Steve Fales from PowerMist has made me a candle with a little bit of a smell of the methanol and the oil mixed together. So even in the wintertime, I'm going to be able to light up and have a great evening.
That's awesome.
That
And
is
it's
awesome.
legal.
That's right. It is legal. Well, guys, is there something that we haven't covered that you'd like to talk about yet?
Yeah, so real quickly, one of the other fundraisers that I forgot to mention that bring in revenue for the DPU Men's Club is the Queen of Hearts that we run with the Silver Dome, which is the bar here, one of the bars here in DPU. We've run that, I think, twice this year, and we really don't have to do a whole lot. It's where whoever wants to come in, they buy tickets to get into the drawing. If their name is drawn, they go ahead and flip over the card that they've chosen on that ticket. So if they do hit the Queen of Hearts, that's the grand prize, and it's over. So we've done that twice. It's a good revenue for the men's club. It's good revenue for the Silver Dome, and the Silver Dome has been really good with supporting the men's club in the races as well.
Good.
So I wanted to go ahead and throw that out real quick because I completely forgot about that. And then also this year, this is something that Mikey and Julia Thurlby thought about, and they're getting help from John Schubert on this as well, is that we're having the boat racing outboard history event. That's going to be during the races, and really there's going to be, I think there's two things to where there's going to be antique boats that are going to be sitting down by the VFW area that are just there for show.
Yep.
And then there's going to be some that actually get out on the water in intermission time to show what those antique boats used to be able to do. And then we do have ballots printed out that I think we're going to stick in the programs for patrons and fans to go ahead and vote on. So that'll be something new. Yeah, that's something brand new that Julie and Mikey Thurlby came up with and brought it to us, and we'll see how it goes. This is that's going to be interesting.
Hopefully somebody will have a Quincy motor that will fire up, and we can hear that history a little bit from 100 years ago. Well, listen, guys, thank you so much for being with us tonight. We really appreciate it. And we wish you all the best. We hope we've got great weather coming. I know our guys, talking to them a couple of weeks ago at Constantine, are excited to come. And it looks like the entry list is filling out pretty quickly. I think we've got 1,100 runabouts. And one of them happens to be my nephew, Nick Watelka, is going to be running one. And he's talked his cousin Keith into running with him. And then, lo and behold, my niece Corey is going to be running with Jake Edmonds on the water. So that'll be a little bit of a heart pump for me for the weekend. So should be fun, though. We love having you guys. Thank you for all the work of what you two have done and the DePuy Men's Club and everything you guys have been in the community and helping others. And thank you very kindly for being here tonight.
Hey, Ray, thank you for having us.
We'd like to tip our hat to you because you are the voice of DPU boat racing, and it will never, never be the same without you on that mic. So don't ever take that for granted. We appreciate all you've done. You know, there's been T-shirts made up with holy buckets and 30 to the 3, and you are our legend in this town as far as boat racing, and we appreciate what you did. Now, you're not as pretty as the announcer last year, but you're a face only radio could love, but the heck. So thank you so much for all you've done.
Thank you, Alan. I appreciate that. There you go,
K-Dubs. I give you a plug.
I'll tell you what, I loved coming every year. It was a thing of love. It really was. You know, I've always felt so close to the community, and then to be able to be amongst the boat racers over the years that I've raced, and it's just been great. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. I will tell you, I'm going to announce the races for Race Bosnick. Paul has asked me to do the mic, and Jackson has allowed me to come in and do that. So I'll be doing the K Pro Hydro and Runabout classes, and probably stick around a little bit for that 1100 Runabout race, and see if Jackson will let me help him on that.
I didn't know if it was a secret. I didn't know if it was a secret or not. But when you start on that Race Bosnick, the big pal is just going to be all tears. So he's got a heart as big as gold.
Yeah, he does indeed. He does
I
indeed.
appreciate you doing that.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Well, thank you guys again. I look forward to seeing you all next week, huh?
Take care.
Yes, sir. We'll be there.
Thank you so much. Good night, guys.
Safe travels. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Ray, that was a good one.
Yeah.
I'm
so excited for them.
For them races.
I'm really grateful that the good Lord has provided the water, the rain, and they've got such great crew down there to help put the dam in and get that water pumping into the lake. And I shout out to my buddy, big pal, Paul Bosnick. I know he's been sheep herding a lot of the stuff going on down there. So it'll be fun to see how we do with the entries. Like I said, it looks pretty good. I think there's 10 350 hydros already in the mix, and there's 13 700s in the mix, and there's a couple of guys that aren't registered yet. So we'll end up with at least 5 heats of racing for the 700s, it looks like. So that should be good. And I know the 175 hydro, that'll probably end up with 5 heats of racing as well. So
yeah, and even though
should be a good deal.
Even though it's not a super national 5-6 days racing, 3 days of racing at that lake and those people and that party that goes on, it's a great time. I guarantee it.
Oh, it is.
Like you said, they're going to be coming in Saturday getting ready for it. So it is a week-long event for that town.
Yeah, I know. My nephew has been texting me, and he asked when can I get my trailer down there. So I told him Saturday, and he said we'll be there.
There you go.
So I know
they'll be pulling them in, I'm sure. I'll be pulling them.
You bet.
I'll be pulling them in. Well, there's a lot of racing all over coming up. That's for sure. I think it all holds well.
Yeah, Kevin, what have you got coming up? Kevin,
I believe we're heading towards Cambridge coming up this weekend. I'm not too sure yet how things are going to fare out for that one. But it looks like we're headed towards Cambridge. There's 3 or 4 races all colliding at that same time right now. We're really up in arms. We got a big meeting tomorrow with one of our races here at Rocky Fort that has put together a lot and come along and had a lot of sponsors. We got Michigan this year with the inboards has been real good, with Belleville being very successful. Mott Lake is coming on and doing a lot of racing. So I think with the issues they've had in the Unlimiteds and how those races have gone, people have shifted a lot more to these smaller boat races and to the inboard class and around and done those. It's really interesting, but there's a lot going on.
Yeah, even after Depew, we've got Centralia and then Jacksonville for the title series in the NBRA, folks. So a lot of racing yet to go. And we've got that test lap coming up.
We still got Hampton Cup Regatta. We still got Caesars Creek. We still got all those races out there. There's going to be times where we're still doing boat racing even while we're doing football for high school. And we were talking to Jackson, and I think he was talking about Jacksonville or Centralia. It had to have been Jacksonville, where he says he's going to do Friday night football here in Ohio and then drive to Jacksonville for the Saturday morning races for the title series. So, that's what we do. And if I had a big enough crew, I could get to every race I could, but we never have big enough crew. So the program has taken off in a couple small spheres. They've gotten with the understanding of how to utilize our capabilities to help raise revenue. I think real great success for the NBRA out at Stigler, what they were able to do. We had great success in Belleville for the inboard guys, and we're able to raise money just like they do at the Depew Men Club for their town. We're able to raise money for the boat race and for their races, and and it's been very
Yeah.
successful this year,
Yeah.
seeing the programs mature into that, where we're not begging people to pay us to watch them now either. You know, we're when we're getting paid through sponsorships to do it, we're actually putting the races on for free for people, so there's no pay per view at that point, and it
Right.
works just really well. It's success all
Well,
around.
don't
It's been
forget,
really
fans,
good.
we've got the test lap for $29.99. That will give you the races that we will be at this year, along with archived, where we've got races from back 3 years ago that you'll be able to tap into and be able to see a number of the nationals in the years past. And that's at boatracing.tkdssports.com
And
for the race special of $29.99.
and that
That'll
gets them
give
on
you
your
a
Roku
3 month.
TV too. It gets it on your big
Yep.
screen TV too. So Ray, the funniest thing, so people know, is we're still editing film from a couple races back that we're trying to get, because we've had so much, and the way we're doing it this year is we're recording start to finish every heat to every flight, naming them and then posting them, so that you don't have
So
to
we
search
can
through
watch-
8 hours exactly.
Right.
You know, on
So you
Saturday
can watch
and then exactly.
individual classes that you want to watch, and so you'll be
Yep.
able to get online and be able to accomplish that, so that you can watch the big boys, or you can watch
Yep.
when maybe the 125 if you're interested, but you can certainly find it on our boatracing.tkds.
And then last but not least, Ray, big announcement. You know, the last few times we've done boat racing, we've actually been able to take and put our boat races on TikTok for people. We've opened up that platform. It's very hard to open the TikTok platform up for broadcasting like we do events and live events because of the way it works. We've been able to do it and had a lot of success. And we had a crash in turn one at in Oklahoma at Stigler. They had 455 people watching it when that crash happened. That's 455 people just got hooked on boat racing.
You made TJ Snyder a star then.
he hasn't seen the highlight yet because I'm still putting it together for him. But yeah, the TikTok family at that point, we just gained a whole bunch more followers that loved it, and they just fanatic about it. We're posting old videos of old races, and they're just loving them. So we're real excited about that, and a lot more to come about trying to, through the fails and their sponsorships and the sponsorships of the races we've had, we're able to expand now this awareness of boat racing across a much larger platform. I mean, TikTok comes with 160,000 or million viewers in the U.S.
Wow.
At a click of a button, we've got 10,000 followers on our one page alone. But I know people with 1.2 million followers. At a click of a button, they share out our race, and boom, it just goes. You'll have 2,000 or 3,000 people at one point. I walked through the pits in, I think it was Constantine, maybe. I walked through the pits, and it was just off the charts, like 3,000 or 4,000 people for 20-minute walkthrough with my phone, talking about how it looks like NASCAR in the pits, and they were just going nuts. So there's a new fan base being born every day. It's crazy.
Yep. Amen to that.
So yeah.
Well, listen, we're going to see Steve Fales at Depew here next week, as he'll be racing. Hopefully his back is well enough to let him race. I see that Rick's boat is done. I'm not sure if he's going to enter at Depew or not, but hopefully we'll see Rick whether he races or not. But our thanks to PowerMist at PowerMist.com, your fuel and additive leader, as the PowerMist fuels with methanol, high octane gasoline, and all the additives you need to get out front are available at PowerMist.com. With that, Kevin, we'll give you your leave, and thank you very much for all your support.
You got it, Ray. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to the PowerMist Power Hour, brought to you by PowerMist and TKDS Sports, hosted by Ray Rodda himself. We bring it to you every Tuesday during racing season at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Get all your racing updates and everything you need to know. We're out of here until next week, the week of the Depew races, and we'll be having a lot of interesting conversations.